Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Beda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. We are back with our Gita. We have seen last class the verse 20 to 22. Verse 20 to 22 is endowed with that faith. He, the devotee, engaged in the worship of a certain name and form, a deity, and from that he attains the accomplishment of those desires which are indeed granted by me and me and me alone. So it seems that Brahman, or in this case Krishna, speaking as Brahman, has a huge ego because he says, everything comes from me, everything resolves in me, everything you get from your deities, actually I'm blessing the deity to facilitate your accomplishments. So it's all about me, me, me. And he's not an egomaniac. He's just the only reality. You know, Brahman is the only reality. And then if this, in this realm of superimposition of this apparent reality, you know, it appears that we do worship to gain certain desires, to accomplish certain goals, and so on. And as we know, the association with the Lord, whatsoever symbol the devotee is going to use, is going to facilitate that for different reasons, And but as we always say, your actions have to be in total harmony with your desired accomplishment. And you cannot, for example, no, I need to buy a house. I need to find money to put a down payment to buy a house. Instead of doing a business or finding a job, you start meditating 24/7 to see if you can manifest money from thought. So chances are that you are not going to get the money to buy the house because the actions you are putting are not really in harmony with your goal. So the actions have to be totally conform to one's goals. And then on top of that, you have to be a good karma yogi, preferably. You can be just a religious person, and then you do your actions in observance of Dharma, you know. And okay, it's you're a Sakama Bhakta. You want worldly goals, you know, worldly accomplishments, and that's all right. And but if you are a religious person, you're going to learn to work for your blessings, you know, work for the grace of Ishvara, because these blessings do not come for those who do not work for it, as we know. So it's an interesting dynamic, you know, dynamics and game, the game of Jivatma with these deities representing the true God, which is Nirguna Atma, which somehow aligns people, bringing alignment, you know, one's action, thoughts, and results to the laws and principles of the Creator, which is Dharma. And then everything flows much easier because the actions become much more precise, much more efficacious once you don't violate Dharma. and you put the actions with some nice spirit, a religious spirit, so the very doer, worker, becomes more efficient when it's relaxed and living, whatsoever the results to the blessings, the grace of Lord receiving as it comes, So it makes sense that one more often than not accomplish one's goals by being a religious person, in observing Dharma to begin with. So, but and then people say, but how about all these criminals that they violate Dharma and that's why they are billionaires, You see, I don't think that they are having a good time because they have destroyed their souls. And they are just imposed some papa karma to the rest of humanity, and we have to trust that that is as well designed according to this intelligence that knows what it is doing. So everything is coming from Brahman. There is nothing really coming from the deities. There is only one God, one Brahman. But according to our stage of development, we need the middlemen. We know there are middlemen in every area of business and so on. So we need a middle God, a God that we more easily we can conceive, and then we can channel, direct our prayers, our actions in dedication, our worship, and asking for protection and for the removal of the main obstacles. So this is all good. It's Sakama, is highlighted in most of Swamiji's classes around Karma, Dharma, Yoga. People in India, they develop sympathy for certain devatas, and then they call it Ishta Devata. It's my personal, most intimate devata. And that is all right. We have seen that on different texts, Brahman is represented by different deities, let's say. Sometimes Shiva is there as speaking as Nirguna Brahman, sometimes Krishna, Shiva, and many others. So Narayan, and this is not a question of people may even argue saying, no, my God is the real one. So to begin with, the real God is not limited by shape, form, and name, and characteristics or attributes of facilitating this or that. The real God is the only God, is Nirguna Atma. And since it's impossible to be a devotee of Nirguna Atma by doing pujas and anything, you need a symbol like the flag of a nation. You need something more tangible. But a Vedantin may use some symbol of Nirguna Atma just to play with it and to make it more practical and tangible, so that you can, you're doing your things, but you know that you are just using a symbol, and your prayers and pujas or spiritual efforts are all being put in the field with the observance of Dharma and dedicate to the only Lord there is, Nirguna Brahman. So there is no conflict. I think this is a concept well understood for you guys as well. So we see that in India, so many yanis, they have their plays with pujas and rituals, and that does not take any moksha away from them. It's just a question of one must do something, and why not to do some sadhanas of reverence and gratitude to the only Lord there is, Nirguna Brahman, using a symbol. Okay. Therefore, Krishna once again reminds everybody that all these deities, they are there to facilitate your connection with me. Yeah? So, but know that I'm the one blessing the deities and blessing you by removing the obstacles between you and your desired accomplishments. Lord Krishna is in this portion. Now we move to the page 1485. It begins like chapters 07, verse 25 to 22 to 25. Lord Krishna, in this portion, Lord Krishna, in this portion, the seven chapter, differentiating Sakama Bhakti and Niskama, as we have seen it already. Sakama is a person who is religious, but it's mainly interested in material goals, worldly ends. But it's religious. It somehow invokes God to facilitate, or to remove the obstacles and so on. And there's a kami yoga, and then the relationship becomes much more profoundly, fructifying as well, because you are offering your actions to God. You are seeing the result. You need the result, but you also want to get the development, the how you say, development of qualifications, purification, refinement by being a good devotee, a complex and sophisticated devotee such as the Karma Yogi, no? So Sakama Bhakti is good, Niskama Bhakti is our goal, and then moksha is our final goal. Krishna wants to point out that Sakama Bhakti is that form of devotion and worship through which the person seeks a spiritual end. So Niskama is more like worldly ends, and the spiritually ends, they fall into the category of Niskama Bhakta, and this, in other words, is also similar or synonymous of being a Karma Yogi. Karma Yoga wants spiritual end. What kind of spiritual end? He wants purification, refinement. And because this kind of Niskama Bhakti, doing sadhanas, rituals, and so on, the goal is not really self-knowledge and moksha, because you cannot get self-knowledge and moksha by doing any of these things. You need to investigate and contemplate. But the Niskama Bhakti is the highest possible sadhana, which is synonymous of Karma Yoga, in preparing the mind and the body-mind sense complex for moksha. Here it says the person seeks spiritual end is moksha. Not necessarily, but if you are Vedanti, you know from the get-go that your final destination moksha, but the intermediary destination is spiritual, not spirit, body, mind, sense, complex, refinement, and purification. So you need to do that. Keep in mind that it is an intermediary station. The train has to go all the way to self-knowledge and moksha. We see that some Upanishad use the expression prayers. Krishna wants to point out the Niskama Bhakti as that form of devotion through which the person gets this and so on, to contrast Sakama Bhakti and Niskama. First, Krishna is dealing with Sakama. As we were in the last class, Krishna is presenting Sakama Bhakti. in a symbolical language, because of Sakama Bhakta seeks only finite material ends. The desires are for worldly things. All material ends are finite, as we know. And since the Sakama Bhakta seeks only finite ends, Krishna symbolically presents Sakama Bhakta as the worship of finite deities. In India, not all bhaktas, they are kamiyogs. Many bhaktas, they just they have a relationship with certain finite deities, Ishta devatas, with whom they search for protection, support, and among other things. So, and then here, Sakama means people who worship finite deities, which is another angle to look into that. Whereas the Niskama Bhakta seeks spiritual liberation, spiritual end, which is self-knowledge and moksha. But intermediarily, Niskama Bhakti seeks the development of the qualifications necessary for the Jnana Yoga, Vedantic Jnana Yoga. So and then in the same, using the same parallel, the Niskama Bhakti them is worship infinite Lord. So how are you going to worship an infinite Lord? That's a difficult one, because the infinite Lord is nirguna. He does not have a shape, color, or any characteristics or attributes. Is nirguna, the infinite Lord. So it's difficult to conceive a devotion directly, worship direct to an infinite Lord, okay? Therefore, Parichina Devata Bhakta, or Purna Devata Bhakta. So they talk about Purna and Apurna Bhakta. So it's very, very, how you say, there are some nuance there. Apurna Devata is a deity that is finite, therefore it's not purna, no? And then there is a bhakta that is purna bhakta, that sometimes is present as well like that. So a purna bhakta, would have to be devotee and doing some sadhana or some rituals or some pujas to something which is nirguna, Brahman, which is a purna deity, So only Brahman is purna. So it's almost impossible, because for doing rituals like that, you need to have a symbol, something tangible that you do all your sadhanas direct to. You understand? So you don't have any guna of Maya there, not even Ishvara as pure supreme intelligence. You have nothing, to symbolize nirguna. So the point is that all the rituals and all pujas and all upasanas that require an object of upasana, an object of devotion, and an object of worship, so they need to be saguna, they need to be finite, so that you can play in duality, you and your devata, you understand? But the key here is to know that, and that's what Krishna is emphasizing again and again. You can use any finite deity, but know that everything comes to me, and any favors or facilitations or blessings or grace comes from me alone, And then fundamentally, all the prayers, all the worship, or everything that we may do, it goes direct to Nirguna Brahman. But we need a middleman. A middleman are the deities. And it's important we keep that in mind, because then it does not take away from us, those of us interested in doing a dualistic kind of puja or devotion, So you can still play with whatsoever deity. I am a particular sentiment toward Ishwara, Ishwara is as the intelligent cause and also the material cause of the universe. So it's behind everything in this Mithya manifestation. And it's tangible enough that I can put my devotion to him, it's still finite because everything that is defined by Maya's gunas is finite, okay? It's not limitless Brahman. But it is a symbol that allows us to experience yet some devotion, and remember God and relations to God, because it's all around us. As I often say, it's doing everything for us, digestion included, So that's the point. Niskama Bhakti, Niskama Bhakti, Niskama Bhakta. So what does the Niskama Bhakta wish? It wishes first to purify and refine the intellect, the mind, and then with in mind, keeping the perspective that my final goal is self-knowledge and liberation. So that is the Niskama. But then you say, how can it be a Niskama Bhakta, worship infinite Lord, as it was put here? The Niskama is going to worship infinite Lord because he's a Vedantin. And he knows that the ultimate goal is Nirguna Brahman as one's very intrinsic nature, but still he can enjoy the play using Ishwara or any other deity, knowing that everything is going all the way to Brahman and coming all the way from Brahman. Is that clear? Any doubts? There are no incoherence or contradiction. Now the next question is, who is a finite deity and who is infinite? Now we'll talk about Apurna Devata and Purna Devata. There is no question of infinite deities because the very picturization of deity that's finite. All deities are finite because they are defined by a name and a form and attributes. An infinite deity is only Brahman. There is no attributes or qualities to Brahman. It's just the only reality. So all the deities indicates that it is, every time we say my deity is the finite God. It is a contradiction to talk about infinite forms, of course, because forms means finite. Characteristics of those deities are limiting those deities as well. So forms means finite. Names, forms, and characteristics means finite. Therefore, it appears there is a contradiction to talk about infinite form. Forms means it's a real contradiction. Forms means finite. Therefore, what can be infinite deity? Any deity can be infinite deity if we choose to invoke the infinite deity, the true intrinsic nature of all finite deities, It means to say all the deities which are symbol of the infinite Brahman, they are like flags, represent the nations. So you pay respect among other forms of rituals and ceremonies. You play to the flag as you do to your deity. But keep in mind that it's just the postman, he's going to carry the worship and whatsoever we do directly to the Lord, the true Lord, the final Lord, beyond even Ishwara. On the other hand, if you choose to invoke the finite gurus or deity, then the deity is called finite deity. Therefore, Rama also, if you talk about form, it is finite. Krishna also, it's a finite Krishna. And all these deities from all Purana, they are all finite deities. The very Dhyana sloka gives a picture of a form of a deity. Yeah, when you do dhyana meditation or you need an object, and in this verse here, there is a picture for you to focus your. This is the most simple, let's say, unsophisticated form of meditation, using a form, a picture of your deity to hold your mind upon. And so rather than hold your mind on Ishwara by remembering all the attributes of Ishwara as pure intelligence and so on, remember the relationship, the teachings on the relationship between the creator and the creature. So that is a more sophisticated kind of deity. But this is a simple one. You have a picture, you keep focusing on your picture with closed eyes or open eyes, and then you see what happens. You may develop some one-pointedness or focus. So he says here, so you can choose to invoke to visualize. You visualize the finite image of your deity, to imagine, to superimpose the infinite. So you take something finite, you take the gunas, and then you superimpose on the nirguna Brahman, and then you have something more tangible to hold on to, okay, to play this relationship, dual relationship between Brahman, using an image, or even find very, very sophisticated and complex concepts of Ishwara, the supreme intelligence, which is still is a finite principle. Yeah? What is finite is pure sattva guna. It's not independent. What else? What more we can talk about that? If you guys want to contribute to any commentary, feel free, please. So every Purana has one of these deities as the main deity, as representing Brahman, like in the Bhagavad Gita, as we know, as the infinite deity or infinite God. So we understand that there is no conflict between those deities, because they are just appearance, not the real Brahman. Okay. And then there is something here. People talk about Purna Avatara. So Purna Avatara and Apurna Avatara. So what is that? The avatars are Purna or impure. As we know, an avatar is somehow something that descends on this physical realm, not on one's real karma, but it is kind of an extension, or how you say, a mission, not a missionary, is it's sent by Ishwara on a mission to accomplish a certain mission here. And of course, it is finite. Avatars are all finite, unless you choose to see them uh, at the very intrinsic true nature of every avatar, of every jiva, every event samsari is just nirguna Brahman, the true nature of everything and everyone, even the avatars, even the yanis, the gurus, the anyanis, the samsaris. Whether it's puna or puna depends upon how you invoke. It all depends on our projections or where we want to direct our appreciation, our expressions of our appreciation. Then Krishna says, a Sakama Bhakta can worship the finite devatas who are other than Lord Krishna. He called them So they say Krishna Bhakta and this Bhakta, Shiva Bhakta. And a person wants to get out of that, and Krishna says there is nothing wrong with worshiping your finite devatas for finite results. This is good. Finite results. And their worship is valid, and their desires will be fulfilled, okay, more often than not. But when desires are fulfilled, it appears as though the finite devatas are blessing the devotee. So as we know, Krishna says that all blessings coming from him. And Krishna, in the context of the Gita, is speaking as Nirguna Brahma. All finite devatas having blessed powers which are transferred from Brahman to them. Therefore, Krishna represents Brahman, say, because of me and me alone, because I, the one, represent Nirguna Brahman here. No? Do you understand, Philip? Because my English is slow. My speech is slow today. It may be easier. Sometimes a little bit of Thomas helps as well. When you receive the money order, he's talk about the postman here, the middleman. When you receive the post order, suppose the neighbor talks to the postman, why you are very partial, why you will bring the money order to my neighbor and not to me? And then he said, I'm sorry, I'm only the postman. I am the one taking your prayers, taking your pujas and everything direct to Brahman, and Brahman also use me to bring back your results, your parabdha karma. Don't complain the parabdha karma. I'm only the middleman. I'm the postman. The deity can always excuse itself. Say, no, I'm just in between here. Don't be mad with me. So know that there is a boss, Brahman, Nirguna Brahman, which is from where all parabdas, all results come. They pass through me, but the same way the postman say, I'm not giving the money with any special sympathy to anybody. I'm just fulfilling my purpose as the middleman, postman. Don't complain to the postman. There is an expression saying, don't shoot the messenger. He's just carrying the message. Every Parichina Devata is like a postman, as we understood. But Brahman is the ultimate receiver of the worship, and the ultimate Kamapala is also given by Brahman. Well, Brahman does not do anything. How he can give Kamapala? he cannot do anything, but he has all these deities and all jivas doing things for him. He is the principle from where the whole Ishvara system is born. So without the blessed Brahman, there is no Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagata. And then the verse 29, I am the ultimate receiver of all the pujas, just as the flowers offered into the river goes into the, very nice, huh? Just as the flowers offered in the, because here in the West, we don't see people offering flowers to the rivers. They want to take something, but they don't offer. Only India would allow something like that. And people have such a reverence for God and the symbols of God, such as Gangota or Ganji, that they offer flowers. And then say, okay, I'm giving to you, Ganja, but I know that you're going to take to the very source of your existence as a river, which is the ocean. Very nice. So any namaskara one do, any finite devata will go to Krishna. Krishna will bless everybody. Krishna representing Brahma. Swami says, I'm reading Devi Bhagavatam. Did you guys ever read this Bhagavatam? No? I heard that it's a bit confusing because of the usage of Sanskrit with so many multiple meanings for the same words. But anyhow, I heard Swamiji mentioning that in the past. In the context of Devi Bhagavatam, if you want moksha, who should you go to? Devi. So therefore, do not be enamored by any form, by any name. Let me see. Mark. Is it nice? You like it?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's mainly it's not much about Nirguna Brahman. It's all about Saguna Brahman and all his forms, and it's thousands of stories about all the history of Bharata in India and all the gurus and everything. There's a really nice section about Krishna in there, though, which I really enjoyed.
Nice. Good. So he says, do not Krishna, no, in the Bhagavatam, it says, do not be enamored by any form, or Swamiji says, no form is a superior form. Form is form. Form is meteor. Form is the inferior nature of things down here. So what is inferior and superior is the tongue, but what you invoke in that inferior, that limit form. Therefore, Krishna says in the verse number 22, which we were seeing in the last class, and then Swami repeats here. Where is it? Oh, he repeats in English, in Sanskrit. He says, devotees of other finite, devotees of the other finite deities will certainly get the desire fulfilled. So here, kama should be understood as as desire, not as desire, but the object of desire. The object of desire is being used as kama. Okay, but too much Sanskrit. What does the devotee think? He thinks my Ishta Devata has blessed me. But as we have established already, so the Ishta Devata is a postman. It's like a postman giving the money. A child thinks, but a parent knows postman does not give oh, this guy is so lovely. He brings us money every month. You say, no, it's not like that. is your father working abroad and it's sending the money. So if you want to give thanks, give to your father. So in America, in London, working hard, no? So I alone give the ultimate sanction. So Maha here represents Krishna, the infinite God. Krishna, in short, Krishna says Sakama Bhakti is valid. Sakama Bhakti will also be successful. These are all the plus points of Sakama Bhakti because Krishna wants to talk about the plus points always. It's very positive, Krishna. And of Sakama Bhakti. And later on, he's going to talk about the minus points of Sakama Bhakti. But it's never much highlighted, the minus. It highlights the plus, and then once you have got the palan from this finite deity or finite sadhana, you know, and then you say, okay, now you want more, you want to go beyond worldly accomplishments and things of this world, and so you want more, okay, and then I have to tell you. So you are Sakama Bhakti, and Sakama Bhakti has a limitation. You cannot get spiritual growth or spiritual knowledge, really, wisdom, as a Sakama Bhakti, because Sakama Bhakti is the one who is trying to get worldly things. Now you have to become a Kama Yogi and then a Yani Yogi. No? So it presents the limitations in due time, not in the beginning. Otherwise, people say, oh, if it's not going to free me completely. Although, I mean, in Vedanta, we are very transparent. Yeah? The scripture show the entire picture. You know, this has certain limitation, but you're going to be prepped and so on. So, but the guru sometimes prefers not to point out much of the limitations of certain stages of sadhana, because it may make the disciple to feel, what is in there for me? I want the limitlessness of Brahman. A lot of the time, the disciple is not ready for that. And then it happened that they start just imagine that they are ready and they know and they got to that and so on. And that does not help much. Delusion does not help. So we need to keep our feet in the ground and be very honest with ourselves and know the final end of this journey, and without losing vision of that and without falling into delusion, believing that even without going through the intermediary stage, I already got the my final destination. So what are the plus points? He says, yes, it's necessary. Yin yoga without Kama yoga, without devotion is impossible. A religious person, devotional person is a must. You know, a spiritual person without the religious attitude is not going to be successful. So it's okay. There is nothing small about that. There is nothing wrong. So do your sadhanas to gain something. But the point is, know very clearly, I'm doing that to get some finite goals here. For the moment, I'm okay with finite goals, accomplishments. And I want it, because sometimes it's not only a question of getting worldly things. Sometimes they want mystical things, you know, they want some, what we call mystic samsara. So it's okay. You want to do sadhanas to get some mystical experience. It's totally okay. But know that that is finite. That is mystical samsara in any case. No? People say that you should not ask anything from God. People say God knows what you need, so God knows what you want, but which one you want? Who has to decide? Only you have to decide, God, I want this and that. Okay. Yeah, I agree. So you have at least to make up your mind because you have to exercise your free will. You have to tell, oh no, now I'm into God. I was a Buddhist, now I am into God. And now and I heard that God knows what I need. He knows better me than myself. No, it's not like that again. You are Jiva, you have free will, you need to choose, and then you need to invoke God and making clear, oh God, this is my goal, and I want to do this in a religious way. Help me to accomplish that without hurting anybody, following the Dharma, and so on. And so we need to expose our goals, our ambitions, our desires to God, even though God is, you cannot hide anything from God. You cannot help us removing the obstacles unless we are clear within ourselves. This is what I want. These are my actions. They seem to be in harmony with what I want, but I want not only the material gain, I want the spiritual development as well in this process. And then the game is clearly established. Because Swami plays a joke, if God was to make a decision for every jiva, he would decide, yes, I know what you want. You want moksha only. God knows that everybody wants moksha because everybody is making a huge effort to remove anything that gives them a sense of limitation and smallness, And then everybody wants moksha, but everybody wants to reestablish a sense of limitlessness as my nature. There's nothing limiting, nothing missing. I'm full, complete, I'm satisfied. But people not having that clearly, in one's conscious mind, one's unconsciously, they want moksha, but they want to have a bigger house, cars, a lot of money, and so on. They want just to remove this sense of insecurity and limitation. So God would say, oh, you want moksha, but you need to know what moksha is in the sense where you find this moksha, where you find this freedom. It's not by accumulating properties and accumulate money in the bank and assets. You get moksha by understand your intrinsic true nature. Huh? So if God would decide for us, he would just tell us, hey, I know what you want, but I'm not going to tell you. You have to figure it out. You don't need more money. But God is always ready to facilitate our moksha trip as soon as we have a clear mind. The goal was clearly established. I want self-knowledge. I want to know God. I want to be free from materialism. And I want to be free from samsara. People in India want babes and want to marry their daughters and so on, or even their sons. Bhagwan comes and says, I will give moksha, so forget about children. No, moksha is the highest thing in life. And people say, yeah, moksha comes later. Bhagwan. First, I need to get prosperity, money, marry my children, and I want to have 3 more children. So please, first things first. Moksha is there forever, and I can get back to it later on. Now I need more babies. Therefore, what you want, God will never decide would be a huge violation of one's free will. Yeah. The idea that God knows, even if he gives moksha, many are not read to it. Of course, God would never impose the scripture on anybody. We do not impose this self-knowledge scripture on anybody. It's a violation as well. so much less God. Now there is a water problem in the house. I want water first and moksha later, and there we go. I want to have some other things. Moksha, it seems to be a little more difficult. And then be a karma yogi. Okay, be a karma yogi. Ah, no, I'm tired of karma yogi. Now I want to have some higher dimensions experiences, Okay, too bad. Therefore, what you want, Bhagwan cannot decide what you want. You alone must decide. That's what our scriptures say, and it makes total sense, of course. We have the freedom to violate them in a way that we would never even imagine, but we begin to witness it nowadays in our world. And this is all okay with Shishwara. Shishwara sometimes gets tired, and then he just, finish with the game and bring every name and form to its original elements, and then begins the game again. If God would know what you want, why would prescribe a sankalpa? The values, the purpose of sankalpa is for you to decide and see clear. There is, you remember what sankalpa? I forgot the meaning of this word.
I think it may a resolve to do something. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely makes sense. Otherwise, if God knows what you want, why should Shastra prescribe sankalpa? The very purpose of sankalpa is for you to decide and see what you want to do with your life. There is nothing wrong in taking any particular results that you want. You need not to feel bad if you ask for a small little thing. So, therefore, Sakama Bhakti is okay. Swami is trying to cancel any possible sense of inferiority to the Sakama Bhaktis, Bhaktas. Oh, I should be Niskama. No, just, stay where you are. It's the best place for each one of us is where we are. In terms of spiritual development, of course, because you cannot jump the gun. That's very big if, what he said, but need not feel bad about yourself. It's not a bad thing, a sinful thing. It's valid and it will produce the result. If the push is properly done, that is a very, if the puja is properly done, and I don't even have any knowledge to understand these technologies of puja that has to be followed to the letter. Once it is a Sakama Puja, I think we saw in the previous class, the rules and regulations are so precisely and absolutely determining. Krishna will emphasize this point very often. Sakama Puja, rules and regulations become absolutely important. So to be very careful and minutely observe the rules for pujas. If you want small things, it's very complex, the technology to attract a small thing. But if you want the infinite, you have no rules. Oh, so beautiful. The Swara is just blessing. According to this universal law of merits. Oh, you have grown to want the infinite. Now you have the merits of not having to follow any rules. You are just on your path for freedom. Seek for self-knowledge, moksha, and no need to turn right, turn left. Okay. Up to now, we have got the plus points of Sakama Bhakti. Now we are going to enter into the minus points of Sakama Bhakti. This takes us to the verse 23rd. The result accruing to those indiscriminate ones is indeed finite. The worshippers of God attain the gods. The worshippers of me attain me only. I forgot that sometimes Krishna is very rush when he brings the minus points of the more gross sadhanas, huh? Yeah, definitely. The result accruing to those indiscriminate ones is indeed finite. So far, he is being gentle. The worship of God attains the gods. The worship of me attain me only. No, it's okay. It's not being unpolite. The results of the only unpolite thing is to call the people the indiscriminate. We can translate as to those less discriminate ones, So at least they have had enough discrimination to become a religious person and to bring life into their lives, to bring God into their lives and live in observance of God's laws and principles, even the techniques of worship. But the goals are going to be finite. It's important, everybody knows that. But as Swamiji has already presented the argument, you go there and they present, oh, you want this? I have all these finite things. You're going to need to work very hard, but I will bless you with this. But I have the infinite here, which you don't need to do anything. And then people say, no, I want the finite goals, I don't see any value in the infinite goal. Therefore, the worshippers of God attains punya, spiritual punya, and attains those gods who are going to appear and bless them with worldly things. The worships of me, regardless of which finite gods they use as a symbol, but the ones that know that their prayers, the devotion, the love, the prayers. What is the prayer of a very, very highly developed devotee? What is the prayer? I pray, oh Lord, I have done so much. Now I want self-knowledge. I want to know your nature. And I heard it's my very nature. And I want self-knowledge. I want moksha. Oh God, I want moksha. You have to keep asking God again and again until he gets tired of you. And then he gives you moksha. Very simple. You always have to nag him a little bit. So we keep it for tomorrow. And then we're going to carry on. Tomorrow, I did not place it there, but tomorrow, same time, we carry on from this verse 23.
So we will meet on Wednesday then.
Tomorrow is Wednesday. I forgot to ask you if it's okay, because I thought I had mentioned that in the past, that I'm not going to be available Monday, but we could do Tuesday and Wednesday. But if you guys are still available and willing.
I'm up for it.
How about you, Mark and Philip?
Yeah, I think it's okay for me.
Okay. Then we meet again tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. Okay.
Thank you, Arlindo. Wonderful to be back together.
Yeah, nice to see you again. Very nice.
So great.
Thanks, Arlindo. Good to see you again. Bye now.
Bye-bye.